Do you want your kids to fight over your stuff after you die? If you don't, in the next few minutes, I will provide you some ideas and a roadmap that you will be able to follow to help you keep your family together after you pass. Hi, I'm Guy Martino, a Northwest Indiana estate planning and probate lawyer. I am passionate about helping people and clients create estate plans that protects their legacy and does not only do that, but also distributes their assets where there are no issues between family members. I can tell you that some of the most heartbreaking cases I see are not business disputes, not injury cases, but from families who fight over who's going to get some piece of property after their parent has passed away. I can't tell you how many times family relationships have been destroyed and siblings end up spending their inheritance on legal fees instead of grieving their mom and dad and using their inheritance to better their lives or their kids' lives. I really believe that there are three main triggers that turn a lovely family into courtroom adversaries. The first one is unclear documentation. Without clear documentation, confusion and conflict is almost always guaranteed. The second trigger is the unequal treatment between children without a prior explanation to the children. Many times, children will equate an unequal distribution as a substitute for some form of love. I hear people say, Mom didn't love me as much as my sister. That is why she left my sister more than she left me. If you want to leave the family business to a child who's been working in the business for 20 years or more while giving the other children some cash or other assets, that is fine. That is fair. But you need to communicate your intent to your children so they understand the reasoning behind the choices that you've made. See, from us, looking at it from the outside, that makes perfect sense from a practical standpoint. But if you don't really explain yourself to the children or your reasoning, or if you don't document it properly, the excluded child or children may feel cheated and then go ahead and get a lawyer and challenge the entire estate because of some miscommunication or because they feel slighted. The third trigger is what I call sentimental property. This is when multiple children want the same item that has some emotional value but relatively low monetary worth. This is the proverbial fighting over an ashtray or silverware that we hear about. Let's say you have one child who is really a gearhead. He or she loves cars, loves working on cars, so you leave that child your vintage car. This type of item can often cause problems in a split because the other children might say, well, I want a piece of the car. So before we talk about solutions to these three triggers, you need to understand what happens if you don't plan properly. If you die without an estate plan, Indiana law will fill in the blanks and dictate the distribution. This is called intestate succession, and it follows a rigid formula that probably doesn't match most of the individuals and the way they want their stuff split in their estate. If you want everything equally, no problem, go the intestate way. But I can't tell you how many times I've been involved in probate matters where a second or third surviving spouse got a raw deal. Let me give you one situation that frequently occurs. Say Jim has children from a prior marriage. He was divorced for 20 plus years, and he eventually met and fell in love with Sally. Jim and Sally were married, but they didn't have any children. Jim was under the impression that when he died, Sally would get his house because she was his wife, and they lived together for decades. Jim passes away, and Jim's kids force Sally to sell the house or to buy out their interest. You see, under intestate succession, Sally and the kids each have an interest in the house, and the kids can force the sale of the house or force a buyout of their interest. Let me give you another example. I recently worked with a family where the mother died without a proper estate plan. She had 3 children. Her eldest son was estranged, and she hadn't seen him in decades. Her next youngest child lived in New York, but he would routinely call and visit once or twice a year. Her daughter, who was the youngest, moved into Mom's house about 5 years before Mom passed away because she needed a caretaker. After Mom died, the brothers forced the sale of the house. Why? Because under intestate succession, they all had a 1/3 interest in the house, and they wanted the asset liquidated. They didn't live in the area, so they wanted the money from the sale of the property, even though Mom, who passed away, wanted the house to go to her daughter. These situations could have been prevented with a clear estate plan, a discussion letting everyone know your intentions, and setting up a clear plan can prevent most disputes. Not all disputes, but most disputes. You see, being open and honest with your family about your estate plan when you're still healthy and mentally sharp also goes a long way in preventing disputes. While speaking and communicating with your family is crucial, you also need to make sure that you have the right legal structure in place. In Indiana, you can use a will-based plan, or you can set up a revocable living trust. This kind of trust will help you keep the assets out of court or a formal probate process. Keep in mind, having a trust by itself is not enough. You have to make sure that you actually transfer your stuff into the trust while you're alive. Otherwise, things may still have to go through the court or probate process. If you pass away and your assets are outside of the trust, you need to get a court order to put that stuff into the trust so it can go by your wishes. You're listening to this video, so I am assuming that you want to do things correctly. You want to make sure that all is good after you pass away. There are many different ways to meet your goals and the goals that you have for your stuff to pass away. An estate planning lawyer will discuss your goals and help you formulate a plan to meet your goals and hopefully keep your family together after you pass away. If you have any questions about an Indiana estate plan, you can always reach out to us. I am Guy Martino. Have yourself a great day.